prompts: the good, the bad, the ugly, or maybe like the best, the good, the bad, the ugly. Does that make sense? Green Bone Community's best sequel. I'm just sad this is not for me. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah and this is an ode to fiction. It's been a while since I posted any videos on the channel, but now I am back again, stronger and with a very fun tag, and it is the mid-year book freakout tag. I've done this tag for the first time I think last year, but I did it on my blog. If you want to check it out, I will link it down below. I will also link the questions and the originator of the tag in the description below, and if you want to do it too, that would be great. I forgot to mention that the view is probably different from the usual videos. That's because I just bought a bookshelf, and the bookshelf is currently in me and my partner's office, which is next door. I don't want to film there because my partner is currently writing his thesis and he probably wants to focus, so I'm gonna stick with the bedroom. Oh yeah, if you want to see my bookshelf or like a small bookshelf tour, please let me know. I would be happy to make that video for y'all. Before we dive into the questions, I would like to share with you all my Storygraph statistics. Storygraph is a wonderful app where you can track your reading habits and your reading moods. Also, you can set reading goals and page goals as well, something that Goodreads don't do. It is a nice app that really much summarizes all your reading in a month or in a year, and they make very nice graphs for you to see. If you really like statistics, I highly recommend you check out Storygraph because it's a very nice app. I'm currently opening my Storygraph. So currently we are in June, so basically it's 6 months in. These past 6 months I've read about 30 books. In total I have 9,958 pages. For moods, let's see here. Emotional books at 17, and then adventurous 14, and then mysterious and 8. And my pace is very much medium. And then for page count, I average on 300 to 500 pages. I think I read only one nonfiction, and then that is Know My Name. And the genres, as you can see, LGBTQIA, awesome. Fantasy, historical, romance, blah blah. Yeah. For format, this is totally different from last year. I read more printed books instead of digital. And then most read author is Beckty Chambers. That is very true because I read 2 books by Beckty Chambers, and I haven't read any double books. My average rating is 3.93, which is good. I haven't been reading a lot of good books lately. I think I gave out like a few 5 stars. I haven't found a book that I'm really crazy about. So yeah, that wraps up my Storygraph. So let's just get on into it. The first prompt is best book you've read so far. I have a lot of books in mind when it comes to best books. So the first one is a recent one that I finished, and it is Dark Apprentice by Val Neal. This is the first book to the Fall of Magic series. It is a self-published book. Dark Apprentice follows 2 main characters, and the first one is Medea and Nikolai. Medea is an autistic wizard that has lived for centuries, is very skillful, she's a grandmaster, she's very smart, and she's very hot. And then Nikolai is also hot, but he's kind of like a psychopath. His magic is very subpar. He hasn't learned a lot because of the current state of the world where magic is just fading and not all people are very deep into magic. Nikolai sought out a master that would teach him new skills. Nikolai decides to start an apprenticeship with Medea, and Medea reluctantly but eventually accepted Nikolai. I gave this book 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. I will post my review soon in my June wrap-up, so watch out for that. Is another recent read, and it is the first book to the Wayfarer series, and it is The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers is one of my favorite authors currently. I've read the first Becky Chambers books I read is also the best book I read in 2021, and it is the Psalm for the Wild Build. After reading that, I just wanted to read more Becky Chambers, so I decided to pick up The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. The story follows like a spaceship crew that basically makes black holes in space, and the crew is just amazing. They are the space crew for the Wayfarer ship. They are an intergalactic group of people. They come from different races, different planets, and some of them are humans as well. The story is just so wholesome. It also weaves a lot of space political intrigue, but the main driving point of this book is the characters and their dynamics, and how they talk about racism against the alien races and their intricities, and also the importance of family, and it is a found family story, so I think it is just amazing. I can't even explain how how good this book is, because it covers so many aspects that I love about sci-fi, and yeah, it's just so good. Just look at these tabs that I did for this book. Oh god, the lighting is very harsh in this room. Look at the tabs. Yeah, I did a lot. Definitely highly recommend if you don't know who Becky Chambers is. This is a very good book. Okay, the next book, Carrie by Vaishnavi Patel. One of the best debut books that I read this year. It is a standalone. It is epic fantasy that is based on Hindu mythology, specifically in the story of Ramayana. In Carrie, we focus on one of the main characters, which is Carrie, which is one of the most villainized main characters in Ramayana. It is an epic saga of her life. It is beautifully written. It is one of the best debut books that I've read so far. For a standalone, it fit a lot of action-packed scenes, and I like how Vaishnavi Patel weaves like legends and stories and folklore into the main story. This one moment just says like, I don't care about God. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I'm gonna thrive off of that. It also carries feminist themes, so if you like to read an adult fantasy with feminist themes, definitely read this book. It is just so amazing. So highly recommend for you to pick it up if you haven't. The next one is also like one of my favorite standalones, and it is Legends of Lattes by Travis Baldree. I don't have the book physically because I read it on ebook. I might buy it soon. Legends of Lattes follows the story of a mercenary that just retired and decided to open a cafe. Opening a cafe is something that is challenging. It is something that is different from killing people, and it follows the story of Viv. In this story, Viv learns how to grow her business and grow to trust people again, because like in her previous line of work, being a mercenary, you have to be wary of the people you're working with and the people around you. So in this story, she learns how to be like a kind person and just have like nice relationships with people, try to build like a clientele, and like learn how to make coffee, and then make snacks. Legends and Lattes, it's just so comforting. I love reading this. It is such a blessing. Travis Baldree is like the best human being ever. I did an interview with him on my blog. I will definitely link it down below, so definitely check it out. If you haven't read Legends of Lattes, definitely read it because it's so good. It's so cozy. I've never read an adult fantasy this cozy and wholesome before, so yeah, highly recommend. Okay, next book is A Prayer for the Crown Shy, another Becky Chambers book. It will release around August or July, I forgot. It is the sequel for A Psalm for the Wild Build. In this story, it follows a monk and a robot and their relationship. In the first book, the monk and robot, they met in the wild. In this world, robots live in the wild because basically the humans in this world gave robots rights to do whatever they want, and everyone decided to live a natural life instead of a very industrial life that ruins the earth in some sort like that. And in the sequel, I liked how Becky Chambers dive deeper into the meaning of what purpose of your life, and Becky Chambers knows how to just push the emotional buttons. Yeah, Becky Chambers knows how to like strip the meanings of humanity and make you reflect on your life through sci-fi. It is very amazing. Highly recommend. Okay, the next one. It is not a fantasy, but it has components of fantasy, and it is The Fortunes of Jaded Women by Carolyn Yoon. It's like an adult fiction. It has aspects of magical realism, and it follows Vietnamese women and their story of being women in America, and how these women are cursed. For generations, the Duong women are cursed to not have a son, so they are cursed to have only daughters, and we follow the perspectives of multiple women in this one family. I think 3 generations of them. It is just brilliant. If you haven't heard of this book, it is a debut book, so definitely put it on your radar, read it. I also reviewed it fully in my previous wrap-up, so I'll link it up below as well. The next one is best sequel you read so far. So I would like to include A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers into this. I mentioned it before. The second book for this category is, of course, The Jade Setter of John Loon by Fonda Lee. Let's be frank here, I am a big fan of the Greenbone Saga series. I have the Illumicrate special editions on my shelf. I gave every book in that series 5 stars. So of course, when I read this prequel, it is set before the events of Jade City, so definitely if you want to read it, you can definitely do that, because it is not connected to the main series at all. In this story, it follows the story of Jade Setter apprentice as he tries to get a weapon that was stolen from the shop, and from there he meets a lot of people that are involved in the Greenbone community. Some of the prominent figures in the Greenbone community. Why am I saying communities? They're a gang, they're mafias. So I love this book so much. It is such a good introduction to the world of the Greenbone Saga. It is so nice to fall back into the world of the Greenbone Saga. It's so nice to go back to John Loon and see everything of the world. Something about Fonda Lee's writing and the characters of this world I just love so much. So yeah, best sequel. The next prompt is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. So I have a few here, so I'll go through them very quickly. Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. I bought this book during one of the book festivals here, Word on the Street, and I got this copy signed by the author, and I also got goodies like a bookmark. So I got mine signed by the author. For a while, I was intrigued by this book, and I've seen a lot of friends read it and reviewed it. In this book, it follows our main protagonist that knows tea magic, and the main protagonist participated in a tea brewing competition, because in this world, the magic is based on tea. So yeah, I'm very excited about this book, and the beautiful cover. So beautiful. And the next one is the sequel to Black Sun Fevered Star by Rebecca Rowan Horace. I know I've mentioned this multiple times in the previous video that I really want to continue Black Sun, and I'm also excited to read this one. I don't know if I will like it or not. Black Sun is one of my favorite series, one of my favorite books in 2021, so I hope this don't disappoint in 2022. Even though the cover is so different from the main book, I'm still gonna read it because it's Rebecca Rowan Horace. Okay, the next one, and it is The Hunger of Gods. This is the sequel to The Shadow of the Gods. This book is very chunky. It is by John Quinn. When I read The Shadow of the Gods, I really liked it because it is It is an epic fantasy that is Norse inspired and follows multiple POVs, and one of my favorite characters is a mom that is just trying to find her son, and it's just so good. And there's like gods just trying to kill the humans and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this one. I haven't gotten into it because I'm not in the mood to like read chunky books yet, but hopefully in the second half of this year I will read this book. The next one, the only romance book here, it is the Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I read Beach Read, I read People We Meet on Vacation. I hated Beach Read but loved People We Meet on Vacation. So I'm very curious about the sequel to that, and it is Book Lovers. So I wanted to see how this one goes. Is it good? Is it bad? I want to know. I want to form an opinion on it. So yeah, I'm very excited about this one. The next one is the one that I don't have. It is Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. It is an epic fantasy based on law. It follows the main character, which is the Emperor's Justice. His name is Sir Conrad something something. He is the justice executioner. Oh no, the detective, judge, and executioner for the Emperor. And something about how Richard Swan would incorporate law into epic fantasy really intrigued me, because so far I've never seen anything that is law based. So yeah, I wanted to know what it's all about, and I heard it's queer as well. So yeah, very excited about it. The fourth prompt is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I think everyone would know what is my most anticipated release because it's on everyone's anticipated release list, and of course it is Bubble by R.F. Kuang. It is R. Kuang's dark academia fantasy standalone book. I have a lot of friends that have reviewed Babel and they hyped it up, and I do have the arc for Babel, but somehow I'm still not in the mood to read it because like my relationship with R.F. Kuang is a bit shaky because I liked the Poppy War but I didn't like the Dragon Republic, which made me DNF the whole series. I'm a bit skeptical about this book, and also the reason why I'm skeptical, not just because my relationship with R.F. Kuang is shaky, but also because it is dark academia. So in Babel, from the tagline that I read here, it grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of translation as a tool of empire. So I'm very excited to read this. R.F. Kuang is, I think she's working on her PhD. So I think this book will be very big brain, and it also will discuss a lot of themes of colonialism, so I'm very interested to read it. I've heard from a friend that her writing has improved in this book, so yeah, I'm very excited to read it. Okay, the second book that I can't wait to be released, it is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. I am in love with Simon Jimenez. I've loved his book The Vanished Birds. It is a space opera. So yeah, since I love The Vanished Birds, I really wanted to read Simon's next project, which is The Spear Cuts Through Water. I think in this book it follows, like, I don't know what this book is about, honestly. Reading from the blurb, I think it's about two people that is escorting a god somewhere, and with Simon Jimenez, of course he will surprise me with his writing. Simon Jimenez's writing is very lyrical, beautiful, and it is like no other, the way he writes it. So yeah, very excited for this. I have the arc too. And the next one is Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. Everina Maxwell is the author for Winter's Orbit. Winter's Orbit is one of my favorite books in 2021. It is a space opera. It is queer. In this book, Ocean's Echo, it is set in the same world as Winter's Orbit, that follows a different characters, and the two main characters are psychically connected, psychically bonded characters. So I'm kind of interested in how the dynamics will work, and I think they're military soldiers or something. The next one is Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, especially the books that are set in the same world as The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I just love Hollywood drama. I grew up watching true Hollywood stories, so I'm excited to read this. I forgot who Carrie Soto is, but I'm excited to read it because I know Taylor Jenkins Reid will serve a lot of drama and a lot complex characters. Not at all likable characters, probably like unlikable characters, gray. The characters are always gray, but somehow you are obsessed with them. So yeah. This is your reminder to hydrate. The next prompt is biggest disappointment. I have 4 books for this category, and the first one is The Stardust Thief, Are We Surprised by Chelsea Abdullah. I read this book expecting it to be like an epic fantasy with multiple characters that I will be obsessed with, but the execution of the story is very flat and none of the characters are compelling enough for me to actually be hooked to the story. And I had high expectations because like the author really advertised this book a lot on Twitter, and I've seen like character arts of it, and there's like a pre-order campaign, but after I read like 50% of it and I was so bored. I didn't want to continue it. I almost DNF'd it, to be honest, but I continued on because I wanted to review it and I wanted to form like a full opinion because this is a debut author. I'm just sad this is not for me. Okay, the next one is also a debut, and it is Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. It is a Great Gatsby retelling. It is queer. It is sapphic. It is set in this island where witches are free to practice their magic without the authorities on their back. In this story, it follows like a girl that's trying to get back on this island to settle her father's estate because her father died. And this girl meets the resident island witch that is very famous for throwing parties. And on this island, she meets an unlikely person that she thought was missing, and it is her best friend. For this book, I didn't like it that much because the pacing is kind of slow, and the main love interest kept falling back and forth from like, oh, look at me, I'm edgy and I'm cool and I'm very strong, but I don't deserve love, blah blah blah. Even though during the first chapters this character is hyped up to be like a very strong witch that is kind of like powerful and stuff, but I'm very disappointed in the characterizations in this book, so yeah, not for me. The other 2 books are contemporary. The first one is 4 Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q Sutanto. I ranted about this book in the previous wrap-up. I just didn't like the representations of the aunties in this book, and I'm so disappointed. I thought it would be good, but no. It just had to play like the same jokes over and over. So yeah, I'm not gonna say anymore. The last book for this category is I Kiss Sarah Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I read it a few weeks back. Casey McQuiston is the author for Red, White, and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. In this book, it is a young adult sapphic romance mystery, kind of. It has the vibe of Mean Girls, but also a little bit of Looking for Alaska. I Kiss Sarah Wheeler is a story about a girl that went missing before graduation, and this girl, her academic rival, is trying to figure out why this person disappeared and trying to follow clues to find them because she doesn't want to graduate without this person being there because it's a competition or whatever. This book was a huge disappointment because it's just very toxic and manipulative. I didn't expect it to be like that. When I finished it, I gave it like 4 stars, and then I started writing my review on Goodreads. I ended up hating it, absolutely hated it. So yeah, if you want to read this review, I will link it down below for you. Biggest surprise. Okay, my biggest surprise is a historical fiction book, and it is The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. I read this book earlier in January or February, and it is so brilliant. I did not expect to like it that much, and it is just absolutely stunning. The writing and the story, it just gripped me from start to end. And not to mention the characters are just so, yes. I'm still thinking about it, and I still remember the feelings reading this book. It is just so tragic as well, so highly recommend. And the next one is The Fortunes of Jaded Women. I have already talked about it before, by Carrie Hughes. Such a good book. Definitely look out for it. It will release in September 2022. The next one is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I picked up this book on a whim at the library. I was like, oh, new book. I'm so excited to read it. So yeah, I picked it up. I didn't expect to laugh so much reading this book. And it is a very short book. It is fantasy. It is a found family story. It is hilarious. It's just so fun. Even though the themes are very dark and the world building is so atmospherically dark, it's just so fun. Highly recommend. Okay, the next one is new favorite author. The first one is Travis Baldry, author of Legends and Lattes. Vaishnavi Patel, author of Kaikei. And then Carrie Hughes, author of The Fortunes of Jaded Women. And then Val Neal, author of Dark Apprentice. And then T. Kingfisher, author of Nettle and Bone. New fictional crush. I wrote down a character on this book, but I decided to change it, and I picked Medea from Dark Apprentice. Medea is such a sweet character, even though she's very sadistic, pragmatic, and she's kind of practical, sometimes very cruel. But she has like her apprentice's best interests. She tries to push people to grow, even though her methods are very, very cruel. And she's also centuries old, so basically she's like an old woman, but like looking forever pretty. She's just so amazing. I just love her. If you haven't, just read Dark Apprentice by Val Neal. Highly recommend. New favorite character. For this category, I don't want to put Medea, so I put Timble. Yeah, Timble is the baker in Legends of Lattes. He makes a lot of nice treats for Legends of Lattes, the cafe, and I love him so much because he's a nervous ball of cuteness. Like, I want to protect him. He's my baby. Yeah. Timble is my favorite character. Read Legends of Lattes and you'll know why I love Timble. The next prompt is a book that made you cry. Okay, this is very hard because I haven't been crying reading all the books that I've read. So I'm gonna pick the one that made me a bit teary, and that is The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This book is a adult fantasy romance. It follows two main characters. One of them is a girl, basically the outcast of the family. A lot of people underestimate her, but she has like magical powers, and then she meets this magician, and this magician has the same powers as her, so immediately she develops a relationship with this magician. It's so good, it's so fun, and it's kind of tragic. I read this before The Stationery Shop, and they have parallels, The Beautiful Ones and The Stationery Shop. Highly recommend The Beautiful Ones. A book that made you happy. The book that made me happy is The Jade Setter of John Loon. Well, the reason why it made me so happy because falling back into the world of the Greenbone Saga, it's just like coming home. Reading the descriptions of Kate Con and then John Loon and the people there, and then seeing my favorite characters from the series just made me so happy. And I'm just so thankful for Fondly for writing this story, because Oh my god, it's like a welcome home thing, you know? Even though I've never been to KitCon and it doesn't exist, I feel like I was there for a period for years after reading like the series, and it's great to be back home again. It's so good. Next prompt is most beautiful book you bought or received. Let's do this quick. The Jade Setter of John Loon by Fonda Lee. A Magic Steep in Poison by Judy Island. JADED by Vaishnavi Patel. The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. That is all. The next prompt is what do you want to read before 2022 ends? For the last prompt, I will make a separate video. In this video, I will list like all the books that I want to read in 2022, because I feel like if I mention it all in this video, it will be too long. But I will put in a couple of books that I really want to read. Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. This is the first book to the Aurelian cycle. I also have the sequel ready, Flamefall. This book has been hyped up by a close mutual of mine on Twitter, and she's been having constant brain rot just from the series, and I'm very excited to start it. It is a very underrated young adult series, and I'm just so excited to read it. It has dragons. Anyway, very excited to dig into this. I want to reread Black Sun because I don't remember anything that happened here, because I read it on audiobook, and I don't have the best memory whenever I read epic fantasy on audiobook. So I want to dive back into this so I could start the sequel of Fevered Star. It's all of the books that I've read so far in the year of 2022. My pacing in 2022 has definitely slowed compared to 2021. I've read 30 books, and out of 50 from my yearly reading goals last year, during this month I would have read like 50 books, and I'm okay with slowing down since like I moved from like my home country to a different country, and then adapting to life here, and then a lot of things that happened this year like my wedding and stuff. So I'm definitely okay with my slow pace in reading. I hope that I will read more good books. If you have read any recommendations or you have read any of the books I mentioned, please leave the comment below. That is all, everyone. I hope you have a great day. By the way, hydrate. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give a like and share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.